In this chapter, we're going to talk about several topics around the ideas of controlling all of the parts of an assembly from one central location. And we're going to use two basic concepts to do this. You see on the screen here, I've got open 4 files. 1 is a part and 3 are assemblies. The motorcycle is an assembly that we worked on in the basic course. And remember that the motorcycle has a layout sketch. This layout sketch helped construct the frame, the fork, the wheel placement, the rear swing arm, the wheel size, and just helped orient the entire machine relative to the ground as well. And it did all of that through a single sketch. The engine assembly that we've been working with also works from a single sketch. This single sketch lays out the overall size of the engine block, the angle between the cylinders, and the main surfaces, sizes, and positions of the components. And again, that's all controlled through a single sketch. These are called layout techniques, where a sketch is used to lay out the components of the assembly. The parts can either be mated directly to the sketch or created in context from the sketch using converted entities or other techniques. So layout is a sketch technique that you use in assemblies. There's also another technique that we've used, and we're going to look at it in more detail in this chapter. We've talked about this mouse model, where the entire mouse was designed in a single part, and then the part was split up into separate bodies. And now we're going to kick those separate bodies out into individual part files and complete the rest of the assembly and engineering work in the assembly and multiple part files. In this chapter, we really aim to talk about these two techniques. When and how do you use the layout, and when and how do you use master model techniques? There are 2 different ways of using the layout. One is just to use an assembly sketch, and that method is shown here in the motorcycle model, where a sketch at the assembly level is all it takes to drive the rest of the model. There is also a formal feature called the layout, which is actually a 3D sketch and works much differently from an assembly level sketch. And we'll talk about the similarities and differences between the assembly level sketch and the layout in the course of this chapter. Likewise, with the master model technique, there are 4 or 5 different techniques that you can use to break the individual bodies out of the multi-body part file and make them into an assembly with individual parts. There is a lot of overlap between these 4 or 5 different features or techniques, and we will talk about the overall advantages of one technique over another. The reason I say 4 or 5 is because I'm including the brand new intersect tool with these other techniques. The other techniques are called insert part, insert into new part, save bodies, and the split feature. Intersect is an interesting tool that we will explore a little bit more. We've looked at it previously when we were looking at trim surfaces, but it also has a lot in common with the split feature.